Welcome to One Book, One Review.
Hey everybody, today's book is The Help by Kathryn Stockett, and boy was I surprised. I first heard of this novel when the film was advertised and I thought I wanted to read it first. So I went ahead and bought it, but I never felt like reading it. To be honest, I couldn't imagine I'll like it, and I was scared off by the sheer size of it and the small print. But last week, the film started in Germany, so I picked it up and flew through it. The book had me by chapter 2. So what is it about? The story is set in Jackson, Mississippi in the 1960s. The 60s were a politically active time with Martin Luther King and the African American Civil Rights Movement. In Jackson, it was normal to have a maid, and people hardly thought about it. The book tells the story of 2 black maids and 1 white society lady, and together they write a book about the situation of maids in Jackson. Okay, this in itself doesn't sound exciting, but the book gives you a lot of detailed information about the lives of the 3 women. And each of them is captivating. The Help is narrated by those 3 women, Abilene, Minnie, and Miss Skeeter. The novel begins with Abilene, an older woman who has just lost her own son in an accident. She's the help of Miss Leafold. The first chapter took a lot of getting used to, as it is written to reflect Abilene's way of talking. In general, I like this kind of practice, but it was disturbing to the end because it made reading harder. Abilene, she always says instead of off. And N doesn't exist for her. And it took me quite a while to figure out that she meant Lord every time she said law. And even though I got used to her narration, it was harder to read than the other 2. Nevertheless, I liked her story best. Her character is just so lovable. She's so caring and giving and hopeful. I just wanted to give her a hug all the time for the things she does for others. Minnie is the other black maid. Her narration isn't so strongly colored with the southern accent. It mainly shows when she talks to others, but her inner monologues are better worded. She is younger than Abilene and has a handful of children. Minnie is an angry woman. Her mouth is her biggest problem. She keeps back talking to her employers and thinks badly of them. This behavior has got her fired so many times that she has trouble finding employment. That's how she starts working for Miss Foote, who she thinks of as a fool. But there's a kind of relationship developing that is fascinating. Minnie is the one here upholding the barriers between black and white, employer and employee, whereas Miss Foote just tries to be her friend. The last narrator is Miss Skeeter. She's part of the white society in Jackson, but she's different. She's too tall in the eyes of everyone else and just not beautiful. She didn't go to college to find herself a husband like her friends did, but to get an education. She wants to be a writer. After college, she returns to Jackson and starts writing a cleaning column for the local paper. Of course, she doesn't know anything about cleaning, so she asks her best friend's maid for help. That's how she got talking to Abilene. Miss Skeeter also applied in New York for an editing position, but she got told to get more experience and write. That's how the idea of the book was born. It took her some time to get Abilene to agree to help her, but in the process of writing the book, they become friends. The character of Miss Skeeter is an interesting one for me, as she frequently reveals her naivety and ignorance. Even though she's in the middle of working with African Americans, she's mainly unaware of the civil rights movement, and she's incapable of imagining the consequences of her book. Her mindset is that of a spoiled white society lady, and she has to find out the hard way what happens if you challenge their way of life. As I mentioned before, The Help surprised me. I didn't expect to like it so much. The pages kept turning themselves. The story transports you into time and space that's alien and familiar at the same time. The story was fascinating. It was so interesting to read about the time and the characters. I can just recommend this book to anyone who hasn't read it yet. The only thing I'm not sure about now is watching the film in German, as the accents are so much part of the story that I don't know if it's going to lose without them. Thank you all for watching and have a very nice weekend. Bye bye.